Welcome to Squarebox Games. I'm Ryan, and today I'm really excited to jump into a new box released for Marvel Champions by Fantasy Flight, and that is the Age of Apocalypse. It's the final act of this mutant trilogy that they've had going on, and I'm really excited to see what all is in. So let's jump into this. Okay, so here it is, the Age of Apocalypse. Now, if you haven't played the other two campaign expansions that they have for Marvel Champions, Next Evolution and Mutant Genesis, well, Mutant Genesis and then Next Evolution, this sort of rounds out this trilogy that they have going on with Marvel Champions. So I'm gonna read this little synopsis to bring you up to speed of where things are at with this box. It says, the end of the world has come. After defeating the likes of Magneto, Mr. Sinister, Strife, the X-Men, and X-Force have returned home expecting some well-deserved rest. Instead, what they have found is worse than anything they could have imagined. Professor X is dead, the world is in ruins, and a ruthless tyrant rules over what remains of humanity with an iron fist. Brace yourselves, heroes. The Age of Apocalypse has arrived. So, they are setting the stage here for some absolutely brutal, intense stuff, and it's really cool what they've done in some of these things in the box. And if you are any Marvel fan or comic book reader, you're probably familiar with at least the name Apocalypse, and he is a bad dude. He's probably like the baddest dude for the X-Men that is popular, and I'm really excited to get a chance to play him because number one, he's just a big bad in the Marvel universe, and number two, his the way that he plays is really unique. So you can see here we've got some cool things. We've got Apocalypse, we've got Bishop. If you're not familiar with Bishop, we'll catch you up here. Magic, Eunice, and some other characters here. And it looks like the way that they've released this is we kind of are going to go through the main parts of the expansion. I think there are 5 campaigns here that they mention. So first off, let's take a look at Eunice here. Eunice looks pretty bad, and depending on how his side scheme operates, it looks like things are only going to get harder as you play him, and as time goes on, it seems like things are going to get worse. So starting off, he has toughness, which is always no fun, but he also has this side scheme, I think, and it is basically the gene pool is what it's called. And not only is that bad and makes him and his minions stronger, there's also some things that come into play with your allies later on that can make things even worse for you. So you can see here that Eunice gains Retaliate 1 if there's 3 threat on the gene pool and Stalewart, and things just keep getting worse the more threat that you end up having on that gene pool. And from what I've read here, that can also benefit his minions as well. So, you know, as the threat gets worse, you're not mitigating that. Things are just getting harder across the board. So let's take a look at Eunice's side schemes because they're pretty unique, and they're really meant to represent like the global threat that's being posed in this campaign expansion. So it looks like you've got allies that sort of form like this mission team. And whenever you get one of these side schemes, you sort of have to like send them off around the world to be able to take care of these different side schemes. And those side schemes can each have their own kind of conditions that are different from the game. And so you kind of have like these separate play areas from what I can gather, kind of like you do with Kang, where you get split into the time stream, and you know, you're fighting a Kang over here and someone's fighting one over here, and you can't really interact. But it looks like, you know, you can have some really obscure things go on, and you can gain cool benefits by defeating them, but it also makes it challenging because, you know, your allies are sort of all split throughout the world fighting, and they can't really assist you versus Eunice. So another thing that's really cool about this box is the introduction of the standard 3 set. So if you're into Champions, you know that you have the standard card set that comes with the core set. They release an expansion, I think with the Hood, and that gives the standard 2 set, kind of raises the difficulty level of the game. And in this, they're presenting the standard 3 set, which, you know, adds even more stuff to just sort of the base level game. I'm not going to go into a ton of the things about the standard 3 set. You can read it quickly here, but to me, that makes it well worth picking up, you know, because it already adds so much more to the game through that. So the next scenario that we get is obviously the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You've got war, you've got famine, pestilence, and death. And man, they look not super great. That we've had multi-villain scenarios, kind of like in the Spider Box, where, you know, you're fighting the Sinister Six, and I think similar to them, you're not going to be fighting all of them at once. You kind of fight one at a time, but you do have to defeat all of these villains, which, man, is just depending on the scenario, could be really rough, you know. So that's something to note is, you know, they've each got their own things that when they are on the battlefield are going to be wearing you down, and you've got to get all of them to 0 hit points to be able to truly claim victory. So yeah, that is just going to be super tough. Next in this release, we have Apocalypse himself, and wow, he looks he looks tough. So his card is Toughness. Force interrupt. When the main scheme is completed, remove all threat from it, ignore any crisis icons, and flipped to reveal Apocalypse. Well, Apocalypse 2. Basically, whenever his scheme completes, he just like flips to the next Apocalypse, like 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So he just keeps getting harder and harder and harder as time goes on. And so you're kind of thinking like, how are you going to beat him? So they kind of reveal that I guess what you're going to have to do in the scenario is sort of go up to like where he's ruling and basically prove that he's not worthy to rule the world. Now, how you do that, we'll just have to see. But if you're just going to take him head on, I have a feeling you're probably just going to die. This looks pretty intense. So moving on to the heroes that are included in this, we've got Bishop. And if you're not familiar with Bishop, I had a strong feeling that they would probably do Apocalypse as like the final bad, and then I was like, they've got to include Bishop. They put Cable in there, we've got Deadpool. I was like, Bishop's got to be probably the hero included in the box, and of course here he is. So Bishop is a time traveler, and he's got basically this ability to like reroute energy, in a sense. And so in his hero form here, he's got this energy absorption, and it says response. After he takes any amount of damage, discard an equal number of cards from the top of your deck. Add each resource discarded in this way to your hand. So you can see where he's like taking damage and like redirecting that energy, you know, to be able to utilize. That's pretty cool. So, you know, he definitely looks pretty cool. He's a 2/2 and a 1. He's got 12 hit points, and I'm sure there's lots of other cool cards within his deck that are going to make use of, like, you know, temporal cards and things like that. So really anxious to see how he plays, and I'd love to be able to do like a team up where it's like him, Cable, and Deadpool all together fighting Apocalypse. I think that'd be super cool. So jumping down here, it looks like he's the leadership aspect, which again makes sense, what you would find from the comics. And it looks like we've got Ally. His ally here they're showing is X-23. That's pretty cool. And it says responds after X-23 attacks and defeats an enemy. Ready her. So, you know. Then we've got this sidekick card, which is pretty cool, especially because it looks like you're going to have to be using allies a lot in this, especially on like the Eunice scenario, to be able to go around and do stuff. So it says attached to an identity-specific ally you control, max 1 per deck. Attached ally gets +2 hit points and is your sidekick. Response, after you make a basic recovery, heal 2 damage from the attached ally. So I can see that being really useful if you're trying to go around and defeat all these schemes, and you're healing up while fighting Munis, and maybe you can keep your ally alive to keep knocking down these side schemes. We'll just have to see how that kind of plays out. So the next hero we get in the box is Alana Rasputin. You might know her as Colossus's little sister, and she is magic. So, well, that's her name. Her X-Men name is Magic. So you've got here in her alter ego form, when you change to hero form, choose a spell in your discard pile and put it on the top of your deck, limit once per phase. So pretty cool. If you're using your powers, you can be replenishing those to make use of maybe some of your better cards. And then over in the hero form, it says play with the top card of your deck face up, which that's kind of cool. So you kind of know what's going to be coming. Once per phase, you may play the top card of your deck as if it were in your hand, reducing its resource cost by 1. So pretty helpful there to be able to get a leg up on some of these super tough enemies that we see here. And in a way, kind of like Wanda Maximoff, she uses, her magic powers. She's also a mutant. So kind of cool to have that, another one of those types of mutants in the deck. So, or in Marvel Champions, just in total. So you can see here, she's aggression, and we've got Gold Balls as one of her ally. I always love when they include these pretty obscure X-Men, or at least I think they're obscure, because the X-Men just have so many characters and some of them are super weird. And I think Gold Balls is one of those. But he's got a 1 and a 1 star here, and it's an interrupt. And it says when Gold Balls attacks, discard up to 3 cards from the top of your deck. Gold Balls gets X or plus X attack for this attack, where X is the number of cards discarded that way. So again, sort of like a nice little bomb there that you can make use of. And he might only have sort of 1 health to be able to take damage, but he can kind of do a big hit right there using that. So the other upgrade that we get that they show here for her is we get Blood Rage, and that is response after you defeat an enemy with a basic attack, exhaust Blood Rage and take 1 damage, draw 1 card. So pretty cool. Okay, so finally we have this Heroes on the Horizon announcement, and these are going to be our 4 hero packs that are coming along with this wave for the expansion of Age of Apocalypse. And I'm just going to speculate here. I don't know who is who, especially these 2 people on the outside. No idea who these would be. Absolutely no clue. It looks like one person's kind of like sitting down, maybe with their legs crossed. This person here with the hair going up, I'm going to go ahead and say I think that's Nightcrawler. It could be Beast. It totally could be Beast, but I'm going to say it's Nightcrawler just because of the hair and the pointy ears. But again, I could go either way. I think it's either character. This, I'm going to be honest, I have no clue who this is, but I'm just going to throw this out there. The upturned collar, kind of the hair. I'm going to say Jubilee. Rolled up sleeves. Yeah, I'm going to say Jubilee. And again, I have no clue who these other characters could be. But you know what? Why don't you let me know who you think it is in the comments, because I have no clue who these people on the outside are. I'd love to see some wild guesses on here. You know what? We're just going to throw this out there. I'm going to say this person on the right. I'm going to say it's Dazzler. Who's to say? Okay, guys, so that's it for the release of Age of Apocalypse. 3 of these 5 scenarios look tough. They all look tough. We also get the standard 3 that you can now include in everything else, and we get Bishop, we get Magic. This just looks like a jam-packed box full of good stuff. That's all there is to it. So I'm anxious to see this come out. I'm anxious to pick it up. And let me know if you guys are going to pick it up, if you think this is a good way to wrap up the Mutant Trilogy. But until next time, guys, you know what to do. That's right. Rub that notification bell, subscribe to the channel so you can hear us tell you about stuff with Marvel Champions and other cool games that we love. And with that, guys, have a good one.